cat hairs. What can I say? Ah, well. Good evening. The question today is, should I buy this guitar? Now, some of you are saying, it's red, so of course you should buy it. I'm going to talk a little bit today about how I make such decisions on should I buy this guitar. Now, first off, if you're a beginner, this really isn't for you. What you need is a guitar that plays well, that functions. So, get some help from your guitar teacher. Call your uncle that plays guitar. Find somebody to help you. If you have to go to Guitar Center, find the salesman that actually plays guitar, because you need something that plays. There's nothing more frustrating when you're learning to play than having an instrument that doesn't play well. You need something that plays well. So anyway, for me, I have quite a few guitars. I've been playing since 1967, been gigging. I think I have about 25 or so electric guitars and a couple acoustics. I'm going to talk about how I make decisions. And I guess there's three things I consider when I'm deciding whether I'm going to buy a guitar, and they occur in no particular order. Kind of do them all at the same time. First off, does it make economic sense? For example, is the price that they're asking reasonable for the instrument that you're looking at? Because if you look on Reverb or eBay, sometimes people are asking ridiculous prices for things. And sometimes that doesn't matter as much. For example, this guitar, which came from Rumble Seat Music, I paid full retail for this because I knew that it would increase in value. In fact, I figured this guitar would double in value for what I paid for it, and I was wrong. It has more than tripled in value from when I bought it. So I bought this sight unseen, didn't play it. It's not even in tune. It was in tune when I bought it. I bought it as an investment, and it has been a good investment. Turns out it's a really cool guitar, and I did play it. I used to take this to gigs, little blues bars and stuff. I don't do that anymore. But all I needed to purchase this was, to look at it economically. So that's the first thing. Does it make sense economically? Is it a reasonable price? The second thing I guess I would look at, and I guess I was looking at this guitar, is does it play well? Does it function well? How are the frets up the neck? This guitar, by the way, plays very well. Does everything work? And so forth. Does it function? Okay, so that's the second thing I would look for in a guitar. And so far, I like this one. This one came in a trade, by the way, so I didn't really have to decide to buy it. Okay. And the third thing, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's whether the instrument speaks to you, feels special in some way. Let's look at this guitar. This is a PRS Custom 22. I probably should have tuned these settings first. This guitar is so special, I'm going to do a video just on this guitar. Because in this case, I wasn't sure that it made economic sense. The price that I had to pay for it. As far as playability, it plays. In fact, it's perfect. It's probably the most perfect guitar I ever picked up. And then there's that third thing. How does it feel when you play it? And this is a guitar that I instantly connected with. There we go. Instantly, And the first time they put this in my hands at Guitar Center, it just felt absolutely perfect. I told my wife this is the most perfect guitar I've ever played, but I'll talk about this more in the future. But those three things. Does it make economic sense? Does it function, play well? And does it feel special? Is there something special about it? That's kind of what I like. And sometimes you don't meet all those criteria. Let me show you another one. Okay, this is a 64 Gretsch Country Gentleman. And a friend of mine saw this advertised in one of those small local newspapers. And he knew I was into guitars, so he called me and told me about it. I checked it out, checked the price, and the price was reasonable. So for my condition number one about it making economic sense, it did. But being an old Gretsch guitar, I wanted to go check it out because sometimes Gretsch guitars, old ones, have problems with binding peeling off and needing a neck reset and so forth. So I went to look at it. And this guitar is in great shape. For as old as it is, the case was in excellent shape. I mean, all around, it's in really good shape for what it is. Does it play? Plays very nicely. Plays very nicely. So, 2 out of the 3, good. Was there something special about it? Of course. This nice dark finish. Other than this neck pickup, it looks a lot like George Harrison's 63 gents that he used to play. The only thing I could find wrong with it was the foam on these mutes had worn out, but that's no big deal. Nobody uses those anyway. It looked like George Harrison's guitar. How cool is that? I mean, cool guitar. So of course I bought it. The neat thing about vintage guitars is they're like money in the bank. You can go to the bank and you can, buy a certificate of deposit and you'll get, I don't know, what is it today, 4 or 5% interest on it every year. Or you can buy a vintage guitar. This guitar, since I bought it, has more than doubled in value. So it's kind of like a CD, certificate of deposit, that you'd buy in a bank, except you get to play and enjoy it every day. The whole vintage guitar thing, I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm all in favor of it. So this one made economic sense, was in really good shape, played really well, and it couldn't be any cooler than it is. So that's the story on this one. Let's check out another one. Sometimes you just get lucky. Okay, I saw this guitar on eBay. This is a PRS SE1, which I assume SE is one of their Korean builds, but obviously they're trying to copy a Gibson Les Paul Jr. here, and they've made it even simpler. They took the tone knob off. You got volume. That's it. And I knew these guitars were selling for, I don't know, $600, $500, $600. And the price on eBay, the auction, was fairly low. So, and the auction was going to go off at like 3:30 in the morning or something. So before I went to bed, I put a bid, a ridiculously low bid. I mean, I'm talking like ballpark $300, thinking there's no way I would win this guitar. And I got up the next morning and checked my email, and sure enough, there it was. You have won the auction. So I lucked out. Not only did I get this at a great price economically, but man, it's a great playing instrument. Sounds excellent. I've got a video comparing this to the Junior somewhere. I'll put some links down in the description. Sometimes I manage to get them up there, but somewhere around here there'll be a link to that. What else have I got to show you? That one more lucky piece. I went to Hank's Vintage Guitar Store. Well, let me tell you the whole story. A friend of mine had been very sick. In fact, when I saw him in the hospital, I didn't think he was going to survive. I thought that I was visiting him possibly for the last time. And I told him, when you get better, I'm taking you out and buying you dinner or lunch. He likes hamburgers. So he said, we're going to go get a hamburger. So sure enough, he recovered, thank God, and is still recovering, but got to the point where we could go out for that hamburger. So there was a particular place he wanted to go to get this hamburger up in Robinson. So we go there and we have our hamburger, we have a nice lunch, and we walk out of the restaurant, and directly across the parking lot, there's a big sign on the store, Hank's Vintage Guitars. Well, I can't not go into a vintage guitar store. I had heard about the store before, but I didn't realize where it was. So I go into Hank's Vintage Guitar Store, and Hank has a lot of cool stuff. A lot of, brown Fender stuff, tweed stuff. He had a Moss-Wright guitar, Moss-Wright, whatever it is, autographed by, I assume the Ventures. And this was hanging on the wall. This 83 335. Now, right away I'm figuring, now this is probably about a $4,000 guitar. So I casually ask, what's the price on this guitar? And the guy says $1,500. So I had to take another look at it. Turns out there's, you might have noticed, there had been some damage down here that has been repaired, but it was an excellent repair. I didn't even notice it at the time, but that's why the price was, lower. It's considered a player's grade instrument. I didn't have $1,500 on me that day because, when you're dealing with vintage guitars, those guys want cash, and rightly so. But I did, a few days later I had the cash, and I went up there and bought this. Even as an investment, I thought this would be good. But, it turned out it played well. I should tune these beforehand. Played well, sounds dynamite. And I've been using it for all sorts of things. So sometimes you luck out. But this one kind of met everything. Economically, it made sense. Everything functioned well. And it did speak to me. I really like this guitar. So, of course, I bought it. And it's red. Let's see. Okay. Here's one. Even got the price tag still on it. $40. $40 I paid for this. A lady brought it into the music store. I happened to be there. She wanted to sell it. The music store didn't want any part of it. I looked at all that chrome and thought, wow, this would look cool hanging on the wall. And decided to buy it we agreed on $40. I had to leave it at the store for a while, so I put the tag on there with my name on it and so forth. And it has been hanging on the wall. In fact, I've played it a couple times. I mean, look at that thing. All the switches work and so forth. So this one I bought just for the factor. So, did I make any sense at all today? Economically, the guitar needs to make sense. I'm not paying an outrageous price for it. Number two, it's got to play well. It's got to be functional. And number three, if you can find it, if it feels special to you, you really like it. Those are the three things I consider in no particular order. And I make decisions using those three things. Sometimes one overrules the other. As I was talking about the Paul Reed Smith, I might have paid more for that than I should have. I don't know. Sometimes you get lucky. But anyway, that's my take on buying guitars. I'd be curious to hear how you guys go about it. I also do a lot of wheeling and dealing and trading. This guy might be going on the trading block if you got something interesting. So, I think I BS'd enough for today. Trying to keep it less than 10 minutes. So, talk to you later. Ciao.